Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to Fitness for Beginners. Today, we're going to talk about the gym life. I know it's a big commitment. I know it's a big lifestyle change, and it's a personal decision and one that should not be taken lightly. So, with that said, let's start with one of the main issues that gets talked about, which is money. Money is usually the number one case for that's. It's the only thing standing in the way of someone graduating from where they are right now, currently, into into a better version of themselves, a healthier, happier version of themselves. And a lot of times, it's usually money. That's usually the big thing. I remember when I was a personal trainer, whenever I would talk to somebody out on the floor, and I would get to talking with them and go over my like appointment schedule and prices with them, and they would go, you know what, I'm not really sure right now. Money's pretty tight. Let me go and talk with my husband. Let me go ahead and talk with my wife, or just let me think about it, okay? So I know that's usually a huge determining factor, and so what I would say is, if it's such a huge issue for you, then the cheapest gym to go right now is Planet Fitness. It's the cheapest. It's $10 a month. It's not normally a gym that I would recommend, but any gym is better than no gym, right? So number one excuse out of the way, right out of the gate. The second thing is do you have pre-existing conditions? Do you have any injuries? And if you do, I highly recommend to anybody that asks me, go and see your physician or go and see your physical therapist first. Consult them first before you go and talk to a trainer. And the reason that I bring that up is because most people, I remember, I can say based upon my experience as a trainer, especially when I was young and inexperienced and very green in my knowledge of training, I would sit people down through what we called PFCs, which stood for Personal Fitness Consultations, and essentially they were fitness assessments. And so the way that it worked was I would schedule an appointment with someone, and let's say I'm going to schedule Greg for Tuesday at 10 a.m. And so he would show up at 10 a.m. and I would sit him down. I'd have my little notepad or clipboard with me to write down all of his information, and I would usually ask him roughly around 4 to 6 questions. And the first question would always be, have you ever been to a gym before? And they'll say one of two things. They'll either say, no, I've never been to a gym, never worked out a day in my life, or they'll say, yeah, I've been to a gym before, I just haven't been to the gym in 2 years. And I'm just now getting back into the swing of things, and I just need guidance on where to start. I'm like, okay, cool, sounds good. And then one of my last few questions would be, again, do you have any medical conditions? Do you have any injuries that I should know about? And I'll be honest with you guys, I know in my experience, they would either be super vague about it, or they just wouldn't tell me. And so I would put them through exercises, or I would put them through stretching techniques, foam rolling techniques, and there would be something that I would do that hurt them, and because they have an injury. But how would I know that? They never told me, right? And so that's number one. What you want to do is consult your doctor, because that's essentially what they are, is doctors. I'm not a doctor. I'm nowhere close to a doctor. A lot of people still think that those two things that I just mentioned are the same thing as personal training. I can tell you right now, they are not. Trust me. They can be if you have somebody in your life that you've hired and that you pay that holds all these credentials and has 10, 20 years of fitness experience in their back pocket. Great. Keep training with that person. I would say if you have that person in your life, turn this off right now and go listen to that person, seriously. But that's one of the most important things, if not the most important things that I'll bring up here in this video. The second, the third thing is, what exercises should I start with? Okay, so if you're just starting to work out, if you're a beginner, I would suggest that you typically want to start with like 3 to 4 days a week, or if you could do more, great, but most people will start with 3 to 4 so that they can kind of get a feel and start to get used to it over time, right? But as far as exercises go, if you're going to train weights, if you're going to use machines, I would say start with lighter weight, and while doing so, try to make sure that your form is good, your posture is good, so that you can perform these exercises properly. Because if you can perform these exercises properly, then you reduce your risk of getting injured or having to go to the hospital. And so that's why I say you should always have a note from your doctor before you go and see a trainer, because not only will that prevent you from ever like having to get hurt during an assessment or having to go to the hospital, but in turn it also prevents the trainer in question from getting fired. So it's a win-win for both parties, right? But when you start to work out, when you start doing exercises, you don't want to go full force. You don't want to go gung-ho and start lifting a shit ton of weight when you go to do your bench press or go to do your squats. I know I still see people, you'll still see people that are 19, 20 years old, guys that go in there and they're bench pressing or squatting 400 pounds with terrible form, and I watch them and I go, what the fuck are you doing, dude? You're gonna hurt yourself. But most people do that because you know, they're training for a competition, they want to be a bodybuilder, or they just have huge egos. And most young people, especially young trainers, have huge egos, and so they're going to start to bite off more than they can chew, and in the long run it's only going to hurt them. So that's the last thing that I want for you if you're starting to work out, is to hurt yourself. So start with lighter weight. If you need to make the lighter weight harder, then increase the reps or increase your sets, okay? But you want to get used to them, and you want to work your way up to your maximal amount of weight. So and as far as injuries, from what I can tell you guys from my own professional standpoint, if you have an ankle injury, let's just say, from playing football when you were in high school, and so now you can't do squats, right? Well, you probably don't want to do heavy squats, if any at all. You'll want to go on the leg extension machine or do glute raises for leg exercises. And if you're going to start to do exercises, I would start with the machine exercises before you move on to the free weight exercises. And the reason that I say that is because they're more controlled, they're safer, and especially if you're in the elderly demographic, you know, anybody over the age of 65, that's better for you know, your hips, for like, you know, your arm movements, you know, just so that like you don't injure yourself. So that's my third thing, exercises, what to do and what not to do. And then lastly, we're gonna start to talk about diet. Diet with a capital D. Diet is probably harder, 10 times harder than working out or starting to go to the gym. Especially because I mean, most people in America grew up on bullshit diets. We all grew up on chips. We all grew up on soda and McDonald's and Happy Meals. That's why when you take your kid to McDonald's, they have like a Happy Meal, right? And so like with the Happy Meal, there's like a little toy inside, and so a kid will go, "Mommy, I want to get a McDouble so I can get that little Power Ranger or whatever that's in that bag." And that's how they get you. That's how these big corporations lure people in. And so, but that's what people have been raised on for decades, and so that's all people know. And so the more that people eat like that and don't change any way on how they eat or what food they put in their body, guess what goes up? Not only does their health decline, not only do they get more overweight, not only are they more incapable of doing normal everyday things, but they get more depressed, and depression is through the roof right now, anxiety is through the roof, and suicidal thoughts. So those are just things to keep in mind when you're thinking about starting a new diet, or when you're just thinking about just changing your diet altogether. I know that food is really hard to give up. Trust me, I know. I've been in a long road out of hell myself to get out of a really bad diet. One of my favorite things when I was a kid was soda. I love soda. Dr. Pepper is my favorite. And I love Burger King too. The original chicken sandwiches at Burger King, they're my favorite. So, but I got to tell you guys, I started working out about a decade ago, but it's taking me years to start to finally push that shit to the wayside and never look back. So those are your 4 things right there. Make sure. I'm trying to remember the first thing that I mentioned, which is find a gym. Find a gym that's within your means, within your financial means. The second thing is injuries, health conditions. Make sure you keep yourself up to date on those. And then third thing, exercises. Fourth thing, diet. So that's about all I have for you guys. I'm going to be doing future episodes where I'm just talking about, maybe I'll do a day on biceps, or on how to train your shoulders, or how to train your legs. Those videos will be coming up in the not so distant future. But this is essentially part of what this channel is giving people fitness advice, not necessarily doing one-on-ones with people or starting classes. It's just not in my realm of it's not on my to-do list of things to do for my business right now. But if you guys like my content and you found this informational, you felt like you really got a lot out of it, if you felt like I butchered some things, or like I left some things out, please let me know. DM me, leave a comment in the section below. If you like my content, I'll be putting a new video out every Sunday. So if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching this on Instagram, give me a follow. You're probably already following me. That's why you're watching me on Instagram, but go ahead and follow me. Also, more importantly, share. If you like this content and it brings you joy and it brings you forethought, share it with other people that you think might help them. So that's about all I have for you guys today. Have a good rest of your Sunday, and I will see you guys next week.